Alright, so today we are going to do something a little bit different than what we normally do for an AutoCraft episode. We are going to be walking through the process that we do for designing our perimeter wall decoration. So yeah, we'd actually have one of our decorators come on and actually talk about their process. But what I wanted to do for this one is this will be the floor that we will do for the Patreon perimeter that we're going to have on the server, where we put a whole perimeter dedicated to each of the Patreons that are currently there, that continue to do it for a certain amount of time. Obviously, you're not going to put someone that just does it for 1 month. While I do appreciate that, this area would fill up quite fast, so this will be reserved people that, continue to do it month after month, memorialized inside of the perimeter in the world. So yeah, obviously the floor is going to be the logo. I don't want to do the Patreon itself logo, so we have just my double S for the floor. I think it does fit the AutoCraft theme as well as give us a little bit of different variation in different colors we could use, because it has the red all the way to the yellow. Quite wide variety of blocks that we can actually use for the decoration here. So yeah, this is the floor like I said, and it also has some empty spot on the edge which will allow us to do something inside of the perimeter for the actual Patreons, as the wall we'll do it with the wall decoration there instead. And then inside the perimeter will be the spots for the Patreon. Still don't know what we're going to do for the Patreon memorials, but we will think of something, of course, before we actually do it. But for now, we want to get to the decoration of this. First, we'll start with the floor. The floor is mainly the first thing that we actually do for the decoration. Obviously, that gives us sort of theme to go for the walls. The floor is also the easiest to do because it is on a flat surface compared to the walls, which tend to be they're also vertical, which makes them a little bit harder to do, as well as they also have a lot more detail most of the time. The reason why we do the flat floors is because of the map view most of the time. We usually care about that as well. Also makes it a little bit easier to do in survival. On top of that, there are definitely some cool floor decorations that do have different variations in the height of the floor, which do look good, but in survival practicality of actually building that, it's not obviously ideal compared to this. Now we are only on a regular perimeter size for the floor, so we could do some variation in the height. It's not going to be likely at all. We usually keep them flat. We usually run a floor placer on top to cover the whole perimeter in glass, just so it's spawn proofed, even though this perimeter doesn't really need it because it's not going to be used for a mob farm and stuff like that. We shall see if we do that, but that's what we usually do next. So get in the floor image here. This is not something we did manually, of course. This was done by an image converter called AutoCraft, or Rebane as it is called. I will leave a link down to that in the description below if you want to use that. There is a selection of block palettes and things like that. So obviously for this one, we really only need red, orange, and yellow. So we chose the blocks that give us the best representation of it. They do also have an in-game map view, like a preview, so whatever image you upload, then you can also see what it looks like sort of from a map. Obviously it's going to look different in game because it is based off a map view. So we have used that for walls in the past as well. So if you use it for a wall, you have to keep in mind that you won't see that on the map. You'll only visualize it in game. So you can actually, what we did for the tree farm perimeter, if you remember on AutoCraft, we did a tree farm perimeter where we had the walls as a flat image with, like, trees, fence, the sky, clouds, all that kind of stuff on it. What we did is we did that, and then after we tested it a few times in actual game, we went back, selected the blocks that make it look the best from a player's point of view compared to the map POV. So that was something we did for that as well. It is possible, but at the same time, it would have to be a flat wall, which isn't the worst thing, but at the same time, it's a lot harder to do compared to the floor. Obviously, this image is something that I had custom made for myself. So this is my logo that I use for YouTube, anything, Discord, all the stuff that I have it. This is the logo that I have. It turned out really well. It's clean, simple, and it fits the AutoCraft theme, which wasn't really planned, but it also does. If you don't have anything image in mind, most of the time we get custom images made for the perimeter that we're actually doing. That's something I usually do for like the mob farm perimeters because we can theme it around the mob itself. If you don't have anything like that where you can actually do that, there is something you could just download an image off of Google and then convert it that way as well. Plenty other ways for you to actually get something that you would like in game. At the same time, the Google an image is probably the easiest and cheapest way you could actually do something. It tends to work out quite well. This one obviously just had the file because I had it custom made for myself. So we uploaded that to MapArtCraft, selected the redstone, the nylium, orange concrete, yellow concrete, and that was the full color palette for this floor pattern here. So that's really easy to do. And then obviously the black concrete is just the background color, which makes it a little bit cleaner to look at because obviously the orange is what your eyes trying to look at, not actually the background. Yeah, so that's the floor all done. Now we'll go into the walls. We'll wait for Happy to get in here and maybe some other people that would help out with this. So we get on that and then they will explain their process. Something I quick want to bring up for this particular perimeter, we actually have no idea what we want to do for the walls right now. So don't be afraid if you have no idea what to do. Literally, if you have no idea, just start by placing a few blocks. You know, get the color palette you want to get, you want to use. Obviously, for us, we're going to want to use red, orange, and yellow as it is the main palette for the actual floor itself here. So you mainly want to incorporate what you have here. That way, your floor and walls kind of mix together in a sense. That way, you know, they both combine into one, which is what you really want to do. So obviously this darker color here is just for the background. We'll give us space to include stuff for the Patreons on the edge here without interfering with the actual logo in the center. So honestly, I'm just going to keep placing blocks in a certain pattern that I like, and we'll see what I come up with. Obviously this is going to be the first edition, so it's not going to be, you know, ideal, but don't have any ideas, just start making random shapes and things like that. You'll eventually come up with something that you will like. It's not going to be right away, just trust the process. It's the same way for me with AutoCrafters. I never get everything the right way the first time. So my last video, it took me 3 hours to get the version 1 of that design, and then I still spent another hour on top of that making version 2. But as you saw, in the end, it was well worth it. So just experiment, play around with some things. Even if you're not a decorator like myself, you will find something that you actually do like in the end, and you still may improve upon it and later down the line. So obviously don't rush decoration. Never something you're going to want to rush at all, especially because you're going to look at it all the time if you were to visit that area. So experiment, play around, and you'll find something you like eventually. Just don't give up on it. All right, so after we finished getting the floor picked out and everything like that, we need to work on a wall. Something we have done recently is the fades. Obviously, if we just did a fade again, the regular normal fade, it would look very similar to the main storage pen, which I'll put a picture here for. So I want to do something a little bit different, and it's still a fade, but at the same time, it's a different pattern in a sense. We sort of have like a fire flame side to this now, where it actually has like, you know, little spikes and stuff, become like, you know, the little fire flames. That's why I called it the fire fade. I actually created this schematic. It's actually, when I named it, was fire fade. It looks obviously like that. So yeah, this definitely fits the AutoCraft theme very well, as this perimeter decoration is going to be for the Patreon. So we did something a little bit special here with the color scheme and everything like that. So it greatly matches the floor, which obviously was the S logo as you saw. So this was actually me creating this design. Basically what I did is I had this full wall as a diamond block, I guess temporary block you could say. And then with World Edit, when the shovel, what you would do is you would just set your mask, so you do the G mask, then diamond block. So that one means that you would only be able to right click on diamond blocks. Then you would do your material as, for example, we start with the red concrete. So then we just do that. Then we're allowed to paint wherever we want with, as long as we click on a diamond block. It will replace that with a red. Actually, we did the netherwort block at the bottom for the gradient for a little bit of a darker red than the red concrete. But that's what you do for that. And then you can free paint whatever you want. And I did it for every single type of block here, all the way up until the very last one, which I just then slashed filled for the top part. That way we didn't need to do anything there. But yeah, very simple walls, but it does work. We will of course add some more detail onto this, but I will be leaving that for my actual decorators. This wasn't something I wanted to throw together because I think this is a good foundation start. For the walls, obviously, it's going to be a lot more stuff needing to put onto it, but this is the backdrop for the wall. Actually, I think works quite well, and it's a little bit different than what we normally do besides the regular fade. So yeah, now we won't be able to get the actual decorator that will be making the pillars to speak in this video, but what I'll be doing is I will reread in what they said, just so you can kind of understand what the thought process is while building these decorations for your perimeters or anything like that you will be doing yourself. First, we obviously need to have a pillar design. Something I did find while I was just not busy at work. I saw some pillar designs that I wanted to kind of replicate in a sense. Obviously, I am no builder, so this looks absolutely terrible, but it was kind of just the first idea of what I wanted a pillar design to kind of look like. And I wanted this little spiral pattern here. We can see we have two different spirals here going up. It kind of creates it into one. It just adds a bit of depth to the pillar. That way it's not just, a little flat circle. This is like, a cool different shape that you normally don't see for a pillar. So yeah, it's not honestly great. It was just the first idea. You're not going to get exactly what you want the first time you try it. So if you are planning to do some decorations yourself, please keep in mind you're not going to like what you first come up with. While it may be something that you can envision, it's definitely harder to actually replicate it in the game. So don't get discouraged if you have, your first design doesn't look like how you want it to. It always takes some time, experimentation, and all that kind of stuff to get what you actually want. So just keep with it, and you'll eventually find something that you like. Of course, it also helps if you have some other people that are way better at this that will take what you have planned out originally and then just make it that much better. But if you don't, like I said, just keep experimenting, and you will find something that will help you out. So yeah, now we have this. We're going to actually get one of my decorators on here to sort of rework it and be able to make it that much better so that it looks cleaner, it's a bit smoother, and all in all, it just looks a little bit better. So we'll see what they come up with. Like I said, unfortunately, they don't want to speak, so I'm not going to force them to do it. So I will basically just cover what they did and everything like that to improve upon the first iteration here. Alright, so as you can see here, they definitely did improve upon the original design. It is much cleaner, and you can see that these actually collide together, which just was accidental, but it works actually quite well. The design obviously looks more supported together. It looks like an actual pillar design, not like, free-floated in the air. These are like actually like a structural block and everything like that. So it all in all was accidental that this shape was made, but at the same time, I think it worked out really well. There's also something you should keep in mind when making these designs for perimeter decorations if you're not experienced with it at all. Even if you are experienced with the different designs and things like that, some things happen accidentally. They actually may be better than what you could have planned, but it does look quite well, honestly, all things considered. So yeah, the designer for this was Reflector. They have been on the server quite recently, so if you have seen some of the decorations that you liked, it more than likely was Reflector. Happy was the original one that we had for decorations. Happy is still on the server, but he's not as active with decorations and stuff like that, so we have Reflector for the most part right now. So we are looking for decorators if you want to do that. Our applications are closed until October, but if you are interested in being a decorator for the server, we will make an exception for you. That way we can get you on the server and help with putting on the decorations out. All you need to do is you can actually ping me in the Discord, and I will send you the application. That way you can fill it out yourself. If you are interested in becoming a decorator for the server, we would like to have some more people on the server, but the regular applications are currently closed until October, but I will have one just for the decorators if you are interested in the Discord. Just ping me if you are interested. So yeah, now that we have the pillar design for this, all we need to do is just repeat it over the wall a couple times. I think we can do like 6 or 7 in total with like an even space in them out. This is a regular 256 block perimeter. Nothing special, that's just because how when we do the map AutoCraft, it only does it in increments of 128. So obviously we can't do, like 320 some blocks. We have to do 128, 256, and so on and so forth. But yeah, thanks to Reflector, we have this pillar design. And yeah, I'm just gonna paste it over a wall a couple times, get it all there, and then we'll work on something to put on top of it. Obviously, we can't just leave it like this. We'll need something to top off the perimeter and everything like that. All right, so now we have the full thing completely done. We have the pillars stacked up and everything like that. We will make some adjustments to this corner one here. As you can see, it's not ideal that it's not, rotated like to the center, because it is noticeable if you look at the corners that they are all pointing in one direction, which is not ideal. We want them pointed to the center usually, that way no side is favored like that. But this is the full finished perimeter and everything like that. So we have, obviously it's for the AutoCraft Patreon, so we have the AutoCraft in the big letters on top of the top area there. This top part right here is actually inspired by Roman architecture. If you have to look at anything, we have a picture here just showing originally where this little top part of the wall comes from. You can see that very clearly in the Roman architecture. That was Reflector's main inspiration for this top part here. Reflector also did have plans to do like arches in between each one of these, but I feel like this AutoCraft one just caps it off a little bit better in the terms of the actual sort of design goal we were going for here. And if you look very closely, you will see this little P shape in the center here. This is the very simplified logo of the Patreon. That is, the regular default Patreon logo that we put in there. It's a little subtle Easter egg in a sense. That's what that little P actually is there, going around the whole perimeter. Sort of just like, the Patreon logo, just to include it inside the perimeter decoration in some spot. But yeah, obviously we continued the fade up here. I just basically made the fade that I had here, while it's not fire theme, it's kind of just, like a regular fade, but on a horizontal axis instead of a vertical. I just started one over there, went to about the middle, and then just copied it over for the other side there. And definitely goes well with the walls to basically put it up there. What I had originally was, some black concrete, but then I realized, I think the fade looked a little bit better if we did that, and it definitely does. It definitely ties it all together perfectly like that. One small thing is obviously we're using white concrete and stuff like that, so the closest block we could get to white concrete slabs is the quartz slabs. So obviously it is noticeable, especially when you get really close to it, but from a far enough distance you can't really tell that those are slabs, different colored slabs and things like that. It's the best we can really do instead of making the whole thing quartz. Obviously that'd be really expensive to do for a full perimeter decoration, so we did the white concrete and the quartz slab combination there. Something else I wanted to do for this decoration is obviously include the back, because the fade that we have starts at the very back of the decoration. So if we do this top part here, we have this whole back area here that needs something to be inside of it. Now it will not be used, but at the same time I didn't want to leave it just, white concrete or whatever, because this is visible from the bottom here, just not from the top of the perimeter. So we had this I made this cool little snake pattern in a sense. You can see the two red and orange snakes going back and forth, and they go all the way around the full perimeter here and connect between each wall as well. And then this random there that was left over, we just filled with yellow concrete to fit the red, orange, and yellow fade that we had going through the whole perimeter and within the S there. And then of course we added the fade. The fade for the top part here is also on the back to continue everything and just wrap it all together. But yeah, all in all, this is actually turned out way better than I could have ever imagined personally. Pillars obviously make this fit really well. Also kind of fits the Roman theme in a sense. Most of the Roman pillars though were, completely solid and stuff like that. But it does have that circle shape to it. We would normally have a normal pillar for, as you can see down there. It's kind of sort of like a circle down there. But then again, it's, it's an open pillar design and things like that. I think it does work quite well for this perimeter here. So yes, this was built in a white color scheme here, which means I did swap out the floor for the white background instead of the black. I don't know if we're going to keep it entirely like this. We might change it up. I'm not 100% sure on that. But if we do, we'll obviously change a lot more stuff in the perimeter to the black color scheme rather than just all white. So it is a little bit bright. But it does kind of work with this. We'll probably have to see what we're going to do with this. I don't know entirely. But yeah, that's the perimeter here. If we make any adjustments, I'll let you know. But for now, this is kind of like the fine design. We just need to adjust these pillars in the corners here to kind of like a diagonal shape. That way it fits the perimeter a little bit better, because you can see it goes straight and then it's just a 90-degree turn, and they're not entirely all lined up. Alright, so we couldn't really get the 45-degree angle to work the best, as you can see here, with the rotate command. So instead of spending, countless hours redesigning the pillar, what Reflector did is they made a sort of like, a very simplified version of that, this is based off the original one that I did. As you can see, it's very similar to that. It just has, I think, 3 or 4 different spirals at once compared to the 2 that I had in the original design. But it does work. Obviously, you also have it on an angle like I have it here, and it would fit a little bit better in the corners instead of that monstrosity over there. But yeah, before I showed you the full perimeter, I wanted to show you the little corner pillar that we have now. So this is the final design. If you notice, it is also a black color scheme now. If we go in here, I think it looks a lot better than what we originally had. The black color scheme obviously was the original background for down here, and I think it also does fit a lot better and a little bit cleaner. It's not as bright and standing out as the white. This does feel like it's a little bit better than what the white was, but at the same time, it also fits the AutoCraft theme a lot more than the white does. It's just because the black is a better combination with, the orange, the yellow, and the red. It just goes a little bit better. The white one does work. I think this is the better alternative for our use case here. And now you can see the little corner pillars there. We have them in place, and they're very subtle. You can't really notice that they're different until you actually look right at them and zoom in and see that they're different. But it does definitely look a little bit better than the one we usually normally had in there. That wasn't meant to be in a corner. It was meant to be on a straight flat wall like the normal 5 in the center here are. But yeah, same thing. All that's really changed is the stairs, slabs, and the logo, with obviously the concrete being changed as well. And basically anything that you had white concrete mainly changed to black concrete, and then the quartz slabs were changed to black stone slabs, as they were the closest we could get to the new color scheme as well. But yeah, everything is all done, all ready to go. We have schematics. It's almost 300,000 blocks between the floor and the walls, which is a lot more than I expected, but it's not too bad for a full perimeter decoration at all. The hardest part to build will obviously be those pillars, because they're also, especially those corner ones, will be the simplest to build. These ones will be hard, only because they continuously go up and stuff like that. So that'll be the only reason why this will take longer to build than this one. This is a continuous spiral, so that's probably very simple to do. But obviously this will only be able to be told when we actually build it in survival, which should be hopefully soon. Which is kind of why we're sidetracking and preparing for future perimeters, because the one we're working on right now is taking quite a bit longer than expected. So yes, this is the full, final, completed, everything design that we have. We will also be adding things inside the perimeter here for the Patreons, obviously because it is dedicated to the Patreons. If you do want to become a Patreon, there is a link down below. It is not required, but it is greatly appreciated, and everything goes back into server maintenance costs and things like that for AutoCraft. So yeah, that's gonna do for this. So make sure you like, subscribe, all those sorts of things, and I'll see you in the next one.